Hey PCR girls and viewers, it's Monday, and I'm not Liv, and I'm not Australian. Begins our odyssey, and we begin our odyssey, As you may have guessed, I'm substituting for Liv today, and since the majority of you have no idea who I am, I'm going to introduce myself. My name's Kira, I'm from the United States, I love to read, and I'm actually majoring in literary studies, so that's pretty cool. And I love PCR, and I'm really excited to have this opportunity to be able to make a video for you guys. Yay! I can also choose the theme this week, so what I decided to choose is out of place. I chose this theme not only because I had a book that I thought would work really well for it, I might feel a little bit out of place vlogging on a different channel, so I figured this theme would be fitting. Link in the sidebar to where I usually vlog. The book I've chosen to share with you guys that goes along with the theme is Warriors Don't Cry. You know it's a good book because I have 2 copies. It's by Melba Pattillo-Bills. I love reading books from every genre, but usually nonfiction books aren't my favorite. I really like this book even though it is nonfiction. This book takes place in Little Rock, Arkansas in the late 1950s. Any American history buffs among you may remember what happened in 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas. That year was when integration was enforced in high schools. The story in this book centers around Central High School, and the woman who wrote it was one of only 9 black teenagers chosen to help integrate Central High. She compiled all of her memories into this book using only newspaper articles from the time, her diary entries, and her own memories of her experience there. It is a somewhat difficult book to read just because it's written in the voice of one of these black students who actually experienced all of this cruelty and persecution integrating into a white high school where there's only 9 of these students that are black and then everyone else around them was white and, you know, just horribly mean to them. And I think it was a really hard thing for her to experience, and it makes it a hard thing to read about, but it's a really important part of history, and it is a story of strength as well. There's a lot of great imagery and symbolism throughout this book of warriors and how these 9 black students are fighting a battle going into this white high school and standing up for their rights, and they know that they're making the way for more black students to be able to come into this high school later and not have to go through all of this tough stuff that they're dealing with. And they know that they're paving the way to eventually be able to get blacks into universities, because at this time you couldn't go to university if you were an African American. These amazing, strong students who are just teenagers. As I read through the book, their fortitude and strength and continued hope just astounds me as they go through all of these trials, and they're still able to keep such a positive attitude about it and are able to keep enduring what they're going through because they know that it's going to lead to a better future. And I'm finding it hard to describe this book and how much of an impact it really can have when you read it, so I'm actually going to read some of the blurbs on the book. Riveting, monumentally important, a rare and eloquent behind-the-scenes look at the 1957 integration of Central High. This story shows in clear detail that integration was war. Thanks to Miss Bills for letting us walk with the young warriors from innocence to outrage, and then through it all to understanding. I want every young person I know to read this book. A plainly written story that reflects both the wisdom of the woman telling it almost 40 years after the fact and the crumbling innocence of the young woman who experienced it. Melba Bills gives us a history lesson, a civics lesson, and as true a story of coming of age in America at a certain time and certain place as one could hope to find. I think a lot of times on the page, history can be kind of dull. That's definitely not the case when you're reading Warriors Don't Cry, because it really puts you in the shoes of the students themselves and gives faces to people that you're reading about instead of just reading about it as these 9 black students. You know their names and you know their personalities, and you see at a much closer perspective what they went through and what it was like to integrate high schools. And I think it really helps anyone reading this book be able to connect with that moment in history and understand a lot more about what was going on. And if you couldn't tell, I chose this book for the theme out of place because the black students that are there really do feel like they're out of their place when they're in the white high schools, and they really have to try to find their nook and their place among all of these white students and be able to belong in their school. It's a good book. Read it. I get really long-winded when I talk about books I like, and so I really don't have time to talk about anything else. And hopefully this week I will be seeing Min on Wednesday and Sarah on Friday, and you guys just keep doing what you're doing with your channel because it's awesome. I love this channel. It's like my favorite. Every week you guys have great recommendations for me, and more than half the time I'm like, yep, I've got to check that out because it sounds really good. So just keep doing what you're doing. It's awesome. I'm gonna go. Bye!